Today I'm going to teach you how to make an upcycled station necklace. Before I show you how to make your necklace, I'm going to talk you through the terms so that you understand better what a station necklace is and what an endless necklace is. And I've got some samples of necklaces that I've made previously. So the first one here is a station necklace. And any necklace that is made out of beads which are linked together with lengths of chain is a station necklace. And it can be symmetrical or it can be of varying lengths, but as long as you have chain in between your beads all in one row, it will be a station necklace. I'm going to show you another one here, another example of a station necklace. And again, my stations on this particular necklace, they vary in length and in colour, but they always have something that links them together, and that's very important with the station necklace. Otherwise it can look quite messy. So here I've got the same size pearls and the same colours but in different variations. You can also have a station necklace which is made of the exact same bead and it's linked in exactly the same way the whole way along, but it's still considered a station because it's a bead that's joined onto lengths of chain. And recently I made a kit for a station necklace, an endless station necklace, which is this necklace here, which I've been wearing a lot recently. It's about 1 meter long and all the stations I have on it are identical. And the reason this necklace is called an endless necklace is because it has no defined beginning or end. So it doesn't actually have a clasp or a fastener that opens and closes it. So usually endless necklaces are long. My one is 1 meter long, and you can put it over your head and you can wear it long or doubled. And a lot of the French couture houses use this as quite a staple style, and so I'm going to teach you how to make one today. The difference being that I'm going to teach you how to make it from materials at home. I'm going to be using my chain cuts. I have a bag full of them and I'll be going through it to see which ones I like, and I will be putting them aside for my necklace. Next, I'll be using what we call bead soup, which is a selection of beads that you keep together from previous chains and necklaces that you've made. I like to keep mine by colour, and I've decided to go for sort of red orangey group today, but I will be going through these soon to choose the beads that I'm going to use for my necklace. Because this is an upcycled necklace, I will be using the offcuts from my old pins to make new eye pins. I've also got a selection of jump rings, and the platings on them are slightly assorted because I've collected just odds and ends from previous necklaces that I've made. And finally, I'll be using my cutters, my flat nose pliers, my round nose pliers, and you will need a ruler or a tape measure. With my bead soup laid out in my tray, I'm going to decide how my stations are going to look. It's not that easy because I don't have a lot of each bead, even though it looks like I have a lot of beads. And I do like to have a thread running through my necklace. And when I say a thread, I mean one bead that goes throughout or a colour that goes throughout. So when you're looking at it, it links it in your eye and it just makes it more aesthetically pleasing. And initially I was really drawn to these beautiful big red beads, but I only have 3 of them. And a station necklace, which I'm going to make, which is about 1 meter long, would need about 6 stations, each one of them 7 to 8 beads. So I feel that using these might look strange, and I've had to rethink what I'm doing. So I've gone through it and I've found the beads that I like, and I've laid them out here in an order that I think will work. There's a few important things to do when you're putting your beads together. For instance, I've noticed that these beautiful semi-opaque beads have quite big holes, so I think that my pins would just go straight through them. So I've put little seed beads that would go on either side, and because I've put these little seed beads, I've decided that these little seed beads will be the thread or the bead that runs throughout all my stations and link everything together. I've also pulled out some chain, some gold chain, and I don't know which of these I will be using. It depends on what length I need, and I will see if any of these are long enough on their own, or I might have to use both. But the important thing with the chain that you are choosing is to make sure that it's a chain that you can put a jump ring through. If you use a snake chain or a chain with a very fine gauge, you won't be able to attach your stations to it. So I can get started now, and the first thing I'm going to do is prepare my pins. And because I'm using the offcuts from pins from previous projects, I'm going to make a loop at the bottom of each one. So I will just make them in little sections. Once I've finished making the loops, I can put the beads on them and prepare them to be linked together. If you haven't got enough offcuts, you can always use ready-made eye pins, and you can use them from previous projects, and don't worry if the plating colour on them isn't perfect. They'll still work very well for this necklace. Now that I've got enough pins ready, I'm going to start pinning and looping my stations, and I'm going to be placing the beads on the pins. If you haven't pinned and looped your beads previously, we have got a video to show you how to do it, and I'm going to put the link for this video on the top of the screen, and it should come up about now. Because this bead has a hole that's very large, I'm going to put a seed bead on my pin before I put this particular bead on, followed by another seed bead. In order to use up my beads, I've got 3 different kinds of stations to make sure that they work well together, but that I have enough beads to go on each station. And I'm pinning them one station at a time to make sure that I stick to the pattern. So my first station is pinned and ready to go, so I'm now going to bend it and loop it and link it together. So I'm going to be bending my pin with my flat nose pliers just above the bead to get a 90-degree angle, and I will cut the excess with my cutters, the flush side facing the bead, and I'm going to leave about 1 centimeter. And then with my round nose pliers, I'm going to make a loop. And if you want to learn how to loop properly and hold your pliers properly, we do have a video to show this. And again, I'm going to put the link, and it should appear at the top of this page now. But it's very good to do it correctly from the first time you do it, because it guarantees you'll always have very neat loops. It's good. It's a good practice to have, instead of trying to make them the wrong way, and then you will never be able to make them very neatly. The beads for my first station are now ready to be linked. They're all pinned and looped, and each one has 2 eyelets, one on each side. So I'm going to open one of the eyelets and slip the second bead on it and close it. And I do it by opening the eyelets forwards and backwards to maintain the shape, and give it a little squeeze to make sure there are no gaps. So my first station is ready, and I have another one which is identical, so I'm going to do it, and I'm going to speed it up and show you when it's finished. With all my stations ready, I'm going to do my housekeeping quickly and make sure that all my links are very well closed and that none of them are twisted. And this is a good opportunity to just go through each and every one of your stations and make some little adjustments. So if any of your loops are slightly lopsided, just give them a little tweak. If they're open, you can either give them a little squeeze backwards or forwards with your flat nose pliers. But if you feel that the gap is too big, you can just readjust it with your round nose pliers, simply by placing it back inside your loop and just grabbing the end and just giving it a little tug to make sure everything's fully closed so that none of your stations fall apart once you link them together. With my stations properly finished, I'm going to cut my chain, but first I'm going to measure them, and for my endless station necklace I want it to be about 1 meter long. So I'm going to measure my stations now and see roughly how much chain I will need to add. So I can see that my stations have ended up being either 10 centimeters for these two and 9 centimeters each for these two. So I've got about 58 centimeters, and I'm going to add about 40 centimeters of chain to it. I need to have 6 lengths of chain, each one at 7 centimeters long. Next, I'm going to decide which of the chains I'm going to use to cut my lengths out of. There's 2 that I particularly like, so I'm just going to put them next to my stations and decide which one I'm going to go with. And I think I'm going to go with this one. That's quite an interesting chain. And I'm going to cut 6 lengths of 7 centimeters each. Now I've got my chain lengths cut, I'm going to attach them to my stations with my jump rings. I'll just put some in my tray. And remember that you need to attach alternate stations. So one chain, a station, followed by another chain, and then the third station, and then repeat it to make sure that as it goes round the necklace it's all the same. So you do this by taking a jump ring, which you will open, and remember to always open and close your jump rings forwards and backwards. And if you need a quick reminder, we do have a little tutorial on how to do it, and again I will put the link up and it should show at the top of your screen now. So with my jump ring open, I've put my station on it and one length of chain, and I close it securely, and another jump ring. The jump rings I'm using are about 0.4 millimeter, so they're quite small, but you will have to use the jump rings according to the chain that you're using. So if it's a thicker gauge chain, you will need a bigger jump ring, and if it's a smaller gauge chain, I wouldn't go much smaller than this because it's going to be quite hard to attach your stations with a smaller jump ring. So 0.4, 0.3 should work. And again, open the jump ring forwards or backwards, feed it onto the last loop, put a length of chain on it, and then twist it forwards or backwards to make sure it's securely closed. And one more, that will be half of my necklace ready. So now my first half is linked, and I'm just going to repeat the pattern again. So it's going to be this station followed by this one, and then this one with a length of chain in between, and I do the same thing again. I will grab one of my jump rings and open it. So a length of chain first, carefully closed, and a jump ring, and my first station, carefully closed. And now I'm just going to put the last jump ring that will finish my endless necklace, so it's all fully linked together. And there we go. An endless necklace, which you can wear as one long necklace or double up. So you can wear it doubled up So it's more or less looks like two necklaces and it's very symmetrical. Or you can double it up and wear it so you've got one short length which is close to your neck and one long one, and you can choose to wear it so it's in the middle or on the side, so it looks more asymmetrical. But it's the perfect way to use up your bead, your leftover chain, and also all the ends of your pins. If you don't have the materials to hand to make an upcycled necklace, we do have a kit for an endless station necklace on our website. We also sell individual bead bags and all the findings plus chain, so you could make one in the colours that you like and customize it to suit your taste.